Hello, and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I am your host, Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura, and we are a team of experienced paranormal investigators. Here we discuss different locations that we've investigated, along with a little history and paranormal evidence that we have found. Today, we are going to talk about Waverly Hills. Now, this is actually our return to Waverly Hills. We've talked about Waverly Hills once before in one of our prior podcasts. So if you want to go back on whatever podcast platform you listen to, we talk about it there. This one, if you hear it on the last one, Laura wasn't with us. It was just Jackie and I in a group. Laura was actually on this one, so it was pretty fun. So now all three of us get to kind of talk about what we, experienced there. So Laura, how was your first time at Waverly?
It was pretty exciting. There was some parts that I was let down about because the things you hear about, we didn't quite see all of them. But it's bigger than even I realized once you get inside. So
Yeah. Now, Jackie, how was it? Let's see. How many times has this been for Waverly for you? 3 or 4?
I think 4.
So how was even the 4th time for you?
Well, I gotta tell you, the thing that impressed me was the whorehouse bathroom. I mean, that thing was done up like all the madams of the world were gonna be using it. It was opulent and elegant, and I was almost afraid to pee in it.
I will say they have done some upgrades on certain areas of that building since the last time that even you and
Yes.
I went. I guess one large meeting room that they have like different functions in and stuff now, along with the bathrooms they totally redid, where they have us set up. We were with a group. I want to say there was 12 of us in
More
this
than
group.
10, yes. I think there was 12.
I want to say it was 12 or 13, something like that. That was in this.
The nice part was there was me and you and Laura, because you'd been ghost hunting with us for a while, and then 2 other ghost hunters, and the rest were relatively new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Doggy Paddles group.
Yeah.
Which you guys, if you go back and listen to any of the podcasts that we've done over the time, they were actually at Ross Opera House with us, and actually were on our podcast there. They've been to a few other ones with us, and they're all basically newer at ghost hunting. So this was a really cool one for them to experience, I think.
they started gaining though. They're getting some experience. You wouldn't be able to say that much longer.
That's true.
Well, and I like the fact that I'm kind of watching them. The one thing about ghost hunting that we don't talk about too much, because you start and you have a flashlight, and then usually, 2 or 3 ghost hunts, you get a recorder. And I am watching the Doggy Paddles people. Matter of fact, they just got their first body cams and, the recorders, and they're coming out with all the equipment and stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty fun to watch them evolve, as far as the more and more they get underneath their belt, the more and more they start to understand things and learn things. And so it's pretty fun to watch and actually be part of that process. Then there was a couple of other friends that have been on a few other ghost hunts with us. Kirsten and Christy have been with us. And then Eddie, which he was on one of our podcasts about Gaines Tavern, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And another, I can't remember.
Big Bone.
We did do, Eddie was Eddie is Tri-State Shadow Chasers, and his group was the one that did the Big Bone hunts, and we were invited to go along and help them. So yeah, we did Big Bone with them.
So we've done some ghost hunts with them. I'm trying to think of anybody else, but I think that was pretty much
it. Yeah.
So now, Jackie, you were with the Doggy Paddles people a lot
Yeah.
that night because again, they were newer. Didn't know a whole lot, but you were kind of guiding them through everything. And me and Laura, we just kind of went off on our own for a long time. So, but then we, ended up meeting back up, trying to share other places to go and then go off because the place is extremely large. Even thinking about it to this day, from the first time to the second time, I was tired by the end of the night just trying to
Yeah, you walk
run
down the
around.
hallway and it just keeps going.
Yeah. So, Laura, what's some of the things that you think about first, driving up to it, walking into the building, overall?
Well, definitely the size of it, like I said. It's that red brick that I don't find very appeasing. But I don't think at the time we were there you could get a full concept of it because they have so much construction going on. Like there was scaffolding set up in on that one side. Um, but walking inside once you get in there, it's just ominous. And be prepared because when they let you carry your stuff in, they literally mean you're in. They don't want you to go back to the car.
The doors are locked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can get out. It's just that they do tell you have somebody let you back in.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely the size of it. And then as far as like the feelings, it's a lot to take in when you first walk in. So
Yeah.
overbearing upon arrival.
Well, once we got everything set up and they, I think they did a walkthrough with us when we first got there, didn't they? With some other people. I know I didn't go on the walkthrough. I think a few others did
Yeah.
with the person that let us into the building and stuff. Just to kind of give some background, I decided not to go again because I was like, I pretty much remember where everything's at. Um, so Laura and I think the very first place we went was actually, we just stayed on the second floor, which is where they had us set up a lot of our equipment and where the break place was and the bathrooms and stuff were.
Yeah, we started kind of just walking to get familiar with it, and we went ahead and covered taking some pictures, of course.
Oh yeah, there's always pictures. Now, the one thing I will say about all of it, we didn't get a lot of evidence this time that we were there. Jackie, I don't think you got a whole lot of evidence this time.
No, I don't think I got any EVPs, and I don't think we set up too many cameras. We had the body cams, but we didn't get. You get the shadow movement. You're always going to get shadow movement there, but as far as EVPs or anything unusual, no. Never saw Big Black and never saw that black mass.
Yeah.
That was what I was mentioning. That was, a letdown for me.
Well, our resident, psychic here, you did get feelings as we walked through the building in certain spots.
In the area that you all said that usually lingers, yes.
Yeah.
Within that hallway, and then you said that's the surgery room that's at the end there.
At the end there, yeah.
So, I mean, you can feel that there's something that's, lurks there, but I really wanted to see it.
Now, you did get to see the shadow figures, though.
Oh yeah. Those I guess I just didn't even think to mention them just because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
It just seems to be an obvious given there.
Well, and what I noticed the first time and even the second time, I really feel like a lot of the shadow nurses or shadow people are nurses that used to take care of people because they're running literally from where the beds used to be in rooms back to like a nurse's station that kind of set up there and running back and
And I
forth
think a
down
lot
the
of it
hall.
is residual, and that's why it's so consistent there because it just is on a repeat.
Yeah.
And there is a pattern that the nurses run if they're not responding to a call and stuff. And that's how we figured out they must be nurses because we literally watched this one shadow do the same pattern like almost every
almost
hour.
look in rooms and just kind of pause at the doorways. I mean,
Yeah. Now, Laura, the first time I took you down the death chute, do you remember that?
yeah, the first time I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I don't even like the idea that you're continuously just going down.
We had both walked about halfway down, and it got to the point where you looked at me and said, "I can't do this. I have to go. We have to get out of here." She started to get very panicky.
Yeah, almost like the walls are closing in, and just
It's
that
dark.
weird taste in your mouth where it's like, oh, I think I'm gonna be sick. I think I'm gonna be sick.
It's dark. You're, I don't want to say underground, but it feels like you're underground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're
it's
in a
got that,
tunnel. Yeah.
musky and dampness. The damp in there too.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing, like I said, you got panicky, and it's almost like you said you were like getting closed in, but you couldn't tell but you weren't, but you couldn't tell exactly what it was, which kind of made me wonder, Do you think it was something that was making you feel that, or do you think it was just the atmosphere that was making you feel that?
Mm,
Just trying to think back on it some.
I think probably a combination. I think there was probably some there. And it's probably amplified by the things that,
Yeah.
previously have heard. Yeah. But I will say that we went back later that night because Christy and Kirsten wanted to go, but they didn't want to go by themselves.
Yep.
And we walked back down there, and that time it didn't bother me at all.
No.
I walked way on down past everybody, sat down on the ground for a little bit.
You'd by yourself because I stayed more toward the top.
So
with them.
that's why I have to think that there is a certain amount of energy there because there's no way I got over it after one time. You don't go from I got to get out of here to I'm just gonna stay here and see what happens.
Yeah. Now, Jackie, how did doggy paddles you yourself, which you've been there many times, you kind of know how it is. But how did the newer ones kind of react to the death tunnel? Do you remember?
Yeah, they went all the way down to the bottom, and I guess they did hear some things and stuff. I've learned. I've been to the bottom, and when we come back up, there was 3 of us, and you'd hear 4 sets of footsteps, which was interesting. But I've also learned that if you stay up at the top, you're going to see more shadows. So I tend to hang back. I only went down just so I could see their light and stuff and kind of listen to what they were saying. And the first time they were down there, they seemed to be getting a bit more. And then the second time they went down again, I think there wasn't as much there.
So that just kind of says the same thing again. Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of comes and goes there.
I mean, Laura, you and I walked all the way to the very top, which is, I think that was where the kids played outside, was up on the roof
Yes.
area. It had
Mhm.
like a little,
Yes.
mini area, and then it had each side where you can play. You were getting some feelings up at the top. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
It was a very odd, almost saddening style
Yeah, I
feeling.
said I felt like I could literally see someone sitting there, and it's called a Jerry chair, but it's kind of like it's like a wheelchair, but it lays back more.
Yeah.
Like I could just see someone sitting there, and it was like they knew that it was literally going to be any time. It was just sad. There was
Yeah.
a lot of sadness up there. But the whole place is not sad. I mean, you could feel the kids' joy. Like I do believe that, as atrocious as the place was, they tried to make it as good as possible with what they had.
Now, upstairs on the 5th floor was where supposedly the nurse had hung herself.
Yes.
Right. But I've each time I've been there, which is only twice, and Laura, it was your first time. Jackie, you've been there many times. Have you all ever gotten a feeling that somebody hung themselves up on the 3rd?
I actually got an EVP. I was standing outside the room 502, and the EVP said I did it wrong.
Okay.
I was just sort of not really talking, but monologuing about, the nurse and hanging themselves and supposed to be pregnant and supposed to have gotten, and, and then the EVP said I did it wrong.
Okay. So not exactly knowing what exactly it means, but you've at least got something that
Yeah.
could correlate with it.
And I've always under the impression that the EVP was female. It was a female responding kind of to my monologue that whatever she did wrong, she knew it.
Yeah. Okay. Or at that time, you didn't really get any feeling of anybody,
No,
killing themselves or hanging themselves up there.
no, but so many people have died there that
It's kind of hard
it's
to feel
harder
that.
to shuffle through than you think.
Yeah.
It's not like they have a red flag, like, oh, I did this. You literally just have to go through them, and
Try
I
to,
just didn't get to her.
yeah. And now, Jackie, I know that you guys, the whole entire group was up there, and you had called me and said, I need a piece of equipment. Do you think you can get it?
I gotta admit, I was lazy. I'm like, the equipment's down on the second or the first floor. I'm on the 5th floor. That's a lot of stairs. I wonder if Josh will go get it.
Well, and even then, that's where
Everything is so far away.
yeah, in order to get to the 5th floor, you actually have to go to the middle of the building and
Yeah.
then climb up the stairs. But in order to get there, you have to go up a flight of stairs, go to the middle of the second floor, and then go all the way to the top, which is crazy. But I did end up going and getting it for you.
Thank you.
I think Laura you and I were on the third floor. We might have been on the second floor. I can't remember. We were
Mm.
on one of those two floors. And I said, Jackie needs this piece of equipment. Do you want to come with me? And Laura said, not really, because she didn't want to run
Yeah.
all of those stairs. So, Laura, I left you by yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really one of the first times that I can think of. I might be wrong about this. That you've kind of been by yourself in an environment like that.
In a place that size where, it's like, yeah, they're not 2 doors down from me. Yeah.
Yeah.
First time I've been what I would consider alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I ran downstairs, back upstairs, up more stairs, set up their stuff, talked to some of those people because they were asking me questions, and then came back down to you.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that time?
I mean, there was a couple times where, it's like, it's fine. It's fine. But I mean, overall, it was okay. I mean, the shadows were still there, but at that point, I was kind of relaxed with them because, they've been there the whole time. But I didn't really have anything really happen while you were gone. I mean, other than the ordinary for that location.
Yeah. Now, Jackie, do you remember why you called me up to the
Yep,
fifth
there
floor?
was a child spirit there, and I asked you to bring me the dandy to see if we could get him to move the dandy.
Yep.
Which we never did.
But at least you were getting some type of feelings up on the fifth floor with that group.
And I think we were getting flashlight activity. So
Gotcha.
that's why I asked for the dandy. I thought he would enjoy playing with that more, but they seem to, once they got used to the flashlight, it's very hard to get them to go to another form of a communication.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it's cool that you guys were getting some type of activity up there. I think that's anytime you get anything is always just fun
Yeah.
anyways, no matter what, you get it on.
It is.
Now,
I mean, flashlight is good. I can't say that definitely recall the first time I saw that work somewhere.
yeah.
I know where I was, and
Well, and even personal activity, Laura on the second floor, there was one point I just wanted to step outside. You went into like this ballroom, and that was like, their break area, outside break area, on the second floor on this balcony. And we had both went out there. You walk back inside, and then the door actually starts shutting itself.
yeah,
And latches.
and yeah, good. Yeah, it doesn't just like swing around.
Yep.
No, it literally latch, and it's one of those doors that we even tried it again. You got to like
You've got to pull on the door.
It's old.
If you're inside, you want to shut it, you literally almost have to twist the doorknob and push on it in order to get the latch right. So it latched itself. You then, well, like I said,
It's
we're
not even the best
inside.
part, right?
Yeah. We said, you know what? Can you open that again? The doorknob turned and the door opened itself.
Mm-hmm.
And when it opened, it would open and then kind of stop and then just slowly open. So then I'm like, okay, this has to be wind because it was a little windy. And Waverly, if you've ever looked at pictures of Waverly or you've seen anything, it has no windows, right? The whole entire place is open air, except for this little ballroom did have some windows off to the side.
Yeah.
There was a slight breeze. So I was like, okay, well, if this is you need to close that door again. And it did.
Yeah.
It slowly started moving it, then it finally pulled it all the way closed and latched the door again. And I'm like, man, I'm outside. At that time, you were inside. I'm like, I wonder if this thing locks because I want to make sure I don't get locked out on this balcony. So I said, hey, I want to come back inside. Can you open the door for me? And it did. So it was responding to what we were saying. But that was the only thing that we ever got as far as personal experience that I can think of the whole entire time. We went to the safe, which is a crazy place, but there's not a lot that happens down in the safe to me. It never happened the first time, except for when I saw that one misfigure.
Oh, yeah.
We were sitting in the safe. We saw it outside the safe.
Yeah, nothing happened for me there.
Yeah. But that personal experience to me, like it sticks with me because it's like that's pretty cool that we're asking it and it's doing it. Uh, we actually put down, I think, a REM pod to see if it would start playing with that and wouldn't
Yeah.
touch that. It just wanted to mess with the door some, open and close it. Other than that, it just kind of went away because you said you could feel it and then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it felt like a younger male. I mean,
Yeah.
just
So
messing around.
that was one really cool experience that we had on our side that I was like, yeah, I can't really. Wynn's not going to open and latch the door
On command.
on command 3 or 4 times that we asked it to. So that one was a pretty cool one. And a lot of that was because I'm trying to make sure that it isn't the wind doing anything. But the problem was the door was latching. Then you could hear the doorknob open in order for the latch to come off and actually open the door, which was the coolest thing sound for me overall.
Well, for those of us, or for those that don't ghost hunt, the full picture is we've had doors open and we've had doors closed. The minute that happens, we are at like a bunch of idiots. We're there having the door closed, jumping around like say we're a bunch of idiots, seeing if we can get anything to open it,
We've even
pushing
went
on
like
the door
down the
and-
hall and like opened other doors. Like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe somebody else was down here and created a draft, but drafts don't really work in a place that doesn't have.
I mean, we tried to
Windows.
make ghost hunting scientific. However, when it comes to something like that, you have to take out any and all, possible issues. For me at that point, it was wind, so that's kind of the one thing. Okay, I got to make sure wind's not doing this, but I'm like, okay, hold on, it's latching, because I walked over to the door and I pushed on it just to see if it was completely latched because I could hear it, but okay, is it completely latched? Yep, I can't move it. So then when I step away and say, hey, can you open that up? And you kind of hear a messing with it, and then the door opens, you're like, wind can't do that, can it? Can wind do that?
Yeah.
It's kind of so. Yeah, we act like a bunch of idiots, but we also have to make sure that it's not some kind of outside nature making something else happen in order for us to say it's paranormal.
Yeah.
And Waverly's one of those things where you got to kind of really be careful when you're walking through things and you're seeing things like, okay, hold on, what else could be causing it? And it's a really, really good place for ghost hunters that really want to debunk some stuff from about things. And then actually, like if I was to take somebody who didn't believe in anything, that's where I would take them because things happen. And let them debunk it. Let them say why it's not happening. And then maybe they'll start to have, like, maybe something is going on here. I mean, would you all agree with that?
Well, that's the one thing about the shadows there. You literally, and we sat there and we watched them. It was on the ceiling, came down the wall, stood in the floor, and materialized into a long, tall, thin man. When that man was standing there, that shadow man was standing there, you literally saw human shadows walking. And everything was, they walked like a human, they were shaped like a human, they did human movements.
The only thing they didn't have was defined features.
Right.
They had, you could see the head, you could see the shoulders, the neck, everything all the way down, but it wasn't the rest of it. It was just complete shadow. That's why we call them shadow figures.
And you also, because at Waverly, very seldom do you see one shadow person, you see many shadow people. And you're seeing each, and take like a crowd of people, and you see them, and you can see that there's individual peoples. Well, then black that out, and you can see their individual shadows. And Waverly is great for that.
Yeah. And that's, one of the reasons why anybody's...
Oh, there's so many shadows. That's a guarantee.
Well, if anybody looks at me and says, hey, you want to go to Waverly, I'm not going to say no. All right. It's usually going to be like, okay, how much is it going to cost? And I will come up with that money to go again. Because as a ghost hunter, I think it's one of those places you have to go back to over and over and over again. Because kind of like this one,
It's a little different every time.
Yeah, for this one, it wasn't like my first time going. Honestly, and this is not to, be on a pun or anything, but it was dead there compared to the first time. It was, when I say dead, I don't mean everybody there was dead. I mean, like, I could.
It was quiet.
It
Everybody was
was
in bed,
everybody was in bed. It was you
nap time.
had some stuff happening here and there, but it seemed like there should have been a whole lot more. The very first time we went, there was a whole lot more. So it's another thing where I want to go back and see what else I get next. And I'm sure Laura, do you feel that way?
Oh yeah, because I mean,
You didn't meet the shadow person.
right, the people that I trust the most are like, I've seen it, so I know it's there, and I want to see it too.
You didn't get rushed by Big Black. That's
No.
always a trip. And
Yeah.
you're watching this shadow materialize, and you realize it's down at the end of the hall. You realize it's coming towards you, and you're like, oh, it's just walking. And then as it gets closer, you're like, oh no, he's running at me.
Yeah.
So you kind of start walking
he's-
away.
Well, and he almost takes away all light.
Yeah.
Which is kind of really weird. About it. You're seeing this, and you're like, that's not right, because all the light's going away. You can't see it behind him.
Yeah.
He's taking
He
up the whole
absorbs
hallway.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I stood and had a conversation with him at the top of the stairs in case he was going to turn mean. I could get down the stairs. But basically, there was a black spot, like a human, standing in front of me
hmm
and kind of listening to me.
Well, even there's still reports, and I've never seen anything about it, about the homeless guy that fell down the elevator
Yeah.
shaft with
and
his dog. With his dog, and people have seen that guy and his dog, even the shadow of his dog. It's something like I would love to go back just see if I could ever see that, because I'm like,
Yeah, I even sat there and tried to have a conversation, but
yeah,
I didn't get anything. But
Well, and if nothing else and you're a skeptic, you should go because that bathroom is to die for.
yeah,
Jackie's obsessed with the bathroom.
it
I
was
mean,
kind
I've
of
never
shocking
seen
though.
it
You
so
walk in
fancy.
like,
Yeah.
It
look
is.
back in the hallway, like, am I in the same?
Is this the same building?
Because the
Sorry.
hallway's all dusty and,
I will say the men's
peeling
room was
paint.
like that too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Well, how did you know I wasn't in the men's room?
You might have
You-
been.
Okay.
Wouldn't know if you didn't read the sign.
Were there signs?
Yeah,
Did you have your glasses on, Jackie?
No.
Oh, then you don't know where you
Yeah.
were. Anyway, so overall thoughts on Waverly, Laura, for your first time.
it was still really good. It was interesting.
Yeah. Would you go back?
Yeah, because I didn't get to see the best parts.
Well, let me ask you this. Where, as a person just starting out, at what point, as you're ghost hunting, would you decide Waverly is good? Like, would Waverly be your first ghost hunt?
No.
Or would you want a couple ghost hunts or maybe 10 ghost hunts? Or
I would think probably at least 6. It's not a place that you really have time to learn how to use what you have available. Place is huge.
it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. There's a lot to filter through. If you're still afraid of seeing shadows, don't start there because you're never going to make it anywhere.
And it's easy. We always start out, stay with somebody. And I told the doggy paddles group, don't go alone. You need validation. And we also, when we ghost hunt, we are ghost hunting a building that has been abandoned. Now, there are people in it, but we don't know if they're good people or bad people. So don't go alone. And I explained all that to the ghost hunt people, or the doggy paddles people. And I said, I've got to run downstairs and get some equipment. And they let me go alone. And I got lost. And when they finally found me, I'm like, you guys let me go alone. Did you not listen to me?
Just as a side note, the last investigation we were on, we agreed to not separate. And then today, you just told us when we got here, I cannot believe you did not put me in a room by myself.
Yes. Well, that investigation, I was being attacked frequently and terrified. And basically, I was ghost bait, and I kicked myself and them. We missed a good opportunity. They should have put me alone in a room somewhere on a camera that the the host had set up that they could go back in and watch it. Just in case something killed me, you could,
Yeah,
have it on camera and stuff.
that's true. But I mean that's going to be an amazing podcast for people. Just to let you know, we'll have to do that one soon. Um, but I mean, overall thoughts as far as Waverly Hills. Have you heard anything from the Doggy Paddles group as far as what they thought?
I have not, but I think I may have sidetracked them with Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, plus Fairfield and Mason Manor.
Okay.
So they might have called because they said they were going to do Waverly, but they said this back in March, and I'm thinking you need to start calling
Yeah, Thursday's
in
point nothing left at this
January.
point.
Yes.
Yeah, with
So-
Waverly, it's one of those places that if you decide you want to go and book it, you've got to do it extremely early because they fill up. There's a lot of places like that are very well known. You've got to kind of give yourself some time to get there and kind of look at things. Waverly is one of those.
You
There's-
start calling January 1st, they start taking, you start calling then. I have called as late as February and could only get like a Thursday. All the other dates were full.
Yeah.
And that Thursday was about 6 months from the time that I
they
called.
stay completely full. And like I said, there's a bunch of very popular places that are like that also. But Waverly is definitely one of those. Unless you can find a group that's going that need extra people to go. That's
Yeah.
about the only way that
Or you can do the public hunt at Waverly.
you could always do the public.
That's a way to get your toes into it.
Yeah, to see if it's even something that you would be, okay with going to. So
Yeah.
you do
I don't know
have
if they do a cancel list or not.
I imagine they do.
so it's something to always figure out. Any last words for it?
Nope. Waverly is good.
Shadowy.
Is that a new word?
Yeah.
Shadowy. All right, well with that, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. I've been your host, Josh.
Laura?
And Jackie.
And until next time, you can catch us on our website at notjustghoststories.com or visit us on our Facebook page at Not Just Ghost Stories. Thanks.